No, we're good.
Okay.
All right,
Are we
Annabeth.
rolling?
Take it away.
There's a red dot.
Welcome to the Effin' Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Camacho. This is Nathan Price and Mason, and obviously I'm not Dylan, but I'm Annabeth, and I really like treasure hunt movies. So today we're talking about Tomb Raider. Yeah.
Yeah,
She did great.
Wow.
Like, just
Yeah,
popping
that
in
was
and
beautiful.
hosting.
Yeah.
I mean, she's heard it enough times, so she did great. So, Mason, you picked this movie.
Did not.
No, he did not.
Who
I
picked
picked
this
the
movie?
movie.
It's just been so long, I forgot.
It's been many slices on the wheel by
So
many
many
people.
slices.
But
It was there last
It has
season.
long been on that wheel, and I have long awaited watching it. And yeah, we'll see how that actually shakes out.
Definitely. You gonna give us a summary while we're at it, though?
It's Tomb Raider.
It is Tomb
right?
Raider.
They raid some tombs.
It's
Yeah.
like it's so entrenched in pop culture now.
Yep.
I feel like everybody knows what Tomb Raider is.
Has
but
anyone not
it's
seen
in-
the Laura Croft Tomb Raider, by the way?
Long
Like-
time ago.
Like the
The
Angelina
original,
Jolie.
right?
Yeah,
I haven't
it's
seen
been a very
that.
long time. I
Okay.
feel like maybe I should have rewatched it, but
Nah.
probably fine. I mean, as much as that Korn music video
Yeah.
would pique your interest
With
in,
them
like,
green
oh.
screened in
Yeah.
with each other.
But yeah, I mean, it's it very, I would say it pretty closely follows the beats of the new iteration of the Tomb Raider video game series, like the first game.
Especially.
Because it's using the same overall story, but it's telling it in a different way and trying to make it more grounded ultimately than the game goes with the whole thing. I think that was not a choice I would have made, and I don't want to be like that guy that's like, oh, the books were better.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that as is often the case with a video game turned into a movie, movies movie producers don't respect the source material when it comes to a video game, ever, it seems like. And that did not change with this as much as I felt like it was going to, because I feel like I had heard quite a lot of good about this movie
Same here.
leading up to it.
Especially from this guy over here.
Okay. Because this movie does hit, I think, similar beats, like you said, with plot, but also, you have the exact same type villain, sort of. I don't know if it was his name specifically, but there was a bad guy that was always in, like, the priest-type uniform, like, with the robe and everything, in the video game. But you're right, it followed it way too closely to the video game with this much time, like, to spare.
Well, so I don't think it followed it closely enough is my problem.
Oh, okay.
Because I think Tomb Raider, it's the story of Tomb Raider does go into being mystical, and I think trying to
for
be
sure.
too grounded is a detriment to this movie.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, even the first game, there were freaking T-Rexes and Velociraptors in a cave. Like, it was never grounded out the gate. And even the reboot goes full-on mystical.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I thought when they opened up the sarcophagus, their faces were gonna melt off, all like Raiders of the Lost Ark style, and I was like, why no face melting? First no treasure room, then no face melting. Okay, I gotta go, guys. Bye.
Bye. Hey, you want to give your score real quick?
You said
6.
okay.
Yeah, fair enough. Thanks for hosting.
Yeah, for it being called, I'm gonna take the middle seat. Just really man spread everywhere. But for it to be called Tomb Raider, it really doesn't do enough rating of tombs. Like, I think they're in that tomb in the climax for like 15 minutes, maybe. Well, because they have that whole like they find it, then they all kind of split up and look for clues, like that kind of thing, and then like they get like there's all those kind of shenanigans, but.
it
wasn't
feels
enough of
very by the numbers,
Yeah.
that section in particular, because it's like there's 3 challenges, 3 kinds of puzzles that are relatively easy to solve. Like, it's...
We could have solved that shit.
Yeah, like,
And-
it's all not that inspired, to be
It's
honest.
goofy too. I just like
Yeah.
like it especially made me think in this instance, like, why would somebody design this? Like, why? What's the point?
Yeah. You know, like why have puzzles where the floor is slowly falling away? It's
just
like,
kill them. Like if
no.
you're gonna make it, just like drop them and just kill everybody.
Let's think about who did it better. Okay, The Goonies did it way better. National Treasure did it better. I'd say even the newer Uncharted movie did it better. Of course, that was after this one. I'd say later's. What is it? Indiana Jones. Did it way like a lot of movies did these sequences so much better, where you felt like you had more at stake. But yeah, like you said, it was kind of goofy. Like they basically had bodies to kill along the way. You know, like that one guy got his face melted off.
Yeah, the first one gets sick.
Yeah, got sick. Yeah, and then like
and the guy's getting like impaled on the
early
traps.
on. Yeah.
I mean, we've kind of really jumped deep
into the climax,
which says a lot about everything leading up to this point, which, well, I think Dylan might be here.
I think he's finally here, but go ahead and continue with your thought. They can jump in.
Yeah, I mean, right out of the gate, this movie is spending a whole lot of time in the setup, which...
They're really banking on a sequel.
Yeah, right?
They're wanting that sequel big time.
You guys literally started the review?
Yes, yeah. Annabeth was here for a sec.
Yeah, she introduced us.
I'm doing it, man. I'm eating.
But yeah, so I don't know if you guys mentioned the very beginning part, but that was maybe like my biggest qualm with this movie. It showed her like struggling. It showed her sort of not being like financially stable on her own and having basically a carrier route. But it did that for 30 minutes. I looked at the timestamp before she actually got on the ship and before the ship started getting rocky. 32 minutes, I think, is when that finally started. And I was like, I didn't need nearly that much backup.
They're really banking on a sequel. Big time.
But the thing was, they didn't need that. Like, they needed her, like, writing her signature down or her meeting with the inheritance, situation. But my God, 30 minutes to show me that she's really good at riding a bike and that she's clever.
Those chase scenes at the beginning, I think, which they just, like, there's so many chase scenes in this movie, like, she gives Tom Cruise a run for his money when it terms just, like, how much time they're running on screen. It happens so often. Just in that first 30 minutes, you got the bike scene that she's being chased in.
And you got the backpack theft scene.
Yeah, and I also say the backpack theft scene is awful.
It's like two chases.
Yeah, right next to each other, and the backpack one is just awful. It's just super boring, uninspired.
Well, I mean, the backpack one itself
happened.
Is like two chases.
Yeah.
Because she's chasing them down for a little bit, finally intercepts them, and then they pull a knife on her, and now it's a chase in the other direction for a while.
And then they finally catch her, and then, like, he's just standing in front of her like, I got you. I'm not going to stab you, but I'm here. Just so dumb. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, Lara Croft is what? She's clever, she's witty, she can solve puzzles. It's all just.
She's super athletic too. How many times we did
that
Nathan jump
even
across the chasm?
Last week, I think it was off camera, how like in the video game itself, she gets beaten to a pulp, and I mean constantly falling, constantly just struggling through everything, and like. Again, like none of that was really shown in this.
She gets that, like when she falls, she gets
that ridiculous descending down through the jungle with a parachute that's crumbling away and just like smashing into so many tree limbs. And she gets a little poke. She gets a little poke.
little prod.
Yeah. She's got a little splinter in her side.
Yeah. But I think that, by the time that the bad guy comes in, which, by the way, the villain in this movie was actually pretty good.
I hated him. I thought
every time I bring up the villain, you hate
the worst part of the movie.
He has no development.
He has no development. Besides, like, I want to go home. I've been here too long.
Yeah,
that's all he says.
Like that could be good. I don't think he did it particularly well. I think it's a good premise, but his like being completely soullessly driven by that does feel way too
one note. Like that's all he says.
He could have had some kind of intrigue or nuance in the tomb scene, and he didn't. He's just like, whatever. This is what they want. Fine, it's in the bag. Let's go.
I'm gonna kill the whole world, but I get to go home.
Yeah.
I get to see the house that I was living in before.
Even though I obviously know that this is absolutely horrible.
Yeah. Genocide is what the guy said,
And it's no fault to the actor. I think his name is Walter Goggins. I think that's his name.
And he's Justified or something.
Hateful Eight. And if you remember, he was like Samuel Jackson and him, and he is awesome in that movie, but they gave him nothing to work with in this movie. They didn't give any of the characters anything to work with. The characters are all flat, one note, very boring. None of them. Can either of you all name her best friend? That
In the
she
video
met?
game, it was Sam.
No, I know that. I'm talking about the guy that she met on the boat.
The boat captain?
The one
shit, I
friend
don't
that she
know.
really has.
Was he really her friend? I mean...
At the end of the movie, he goes
I mean,
out of his
he-
way
yeah,
to save her.
Yes, I get that he does.
In
but-
such a short time. It's a very meaningful
yeah,
connection.
like that's the thing that feels really weird about it. It's like, why?
They just met.
Like, it's. I feel like their angle is purely just like, he thinks she's cute.
Yeah.
And that is the...
I agree.
He gives her favor. Like, here's that ship. No, but I don't know. Like, also just how quickly, as soon as the ship wrecks, like, he's part of the work slave group. And,
Yeah,
like,
he's like, this is my life now. Oh, wait,
Yeah.
she's here? Riot!
Guns. yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think that they wasted time where they shouldn't have wasted time in this movie. I don't.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I will say, I thought that whenever they did go into the area, whenever she finally was able to open that first door after her father got revealed and all that stuff, like, it did move it along, but at that point, you're already 45 minutes in, maybe a little bit even longer. And at that point, you're...
Yeah, and at that point it seems like they're just running down the end of this movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's very just a straight shot, and they're just rushing right to the end. Just like, we gotta have our 3, because there needs to be 3 things that you
Yeah.
go through, 3 tribulations, and then, you know, the final scene. It feels really forced, and very much just like they've watched a bunch of these kind of films, and they're just like, well, this is what happens. But they executed all of it very poorly.
Yeah. As far as, like, I don't know, cinematography, I guess, of some of the scenes, like the airplane or the waterfall.
The
and,
camera
like,
wasn't noticeable.
I thought that...
So,
good.
did you all feel like the green screening was noticeable? Because
Occasionally.
like, I found that distractingly
Especially when she
noticeable.
was falling through that scene we were talking about where she's falling through the trees and stuff. Like, that was very poor.
I feel like there was... Most of the movie to me felt very obviously green screen, like distractingly so. Like,
Maybe I
almost
was too busy
like
staring
it
at
was
her.
almost enough.
That could be it. She takes up a lot of the
She
space
does.
on the screen.
She's
Especially
small,
after,
but
like,
she
they
takes
showed
up a
her
lot of the
abs,
scene,
and I was
yeah.
just like, I'm done. She can do no wrong.
Which abs look better, her or Ryan McCarthy from Never Back Down?
Hers.
Alright,
Definitely.
that's fair.
What was the other thing to say? Oh, I was going to say a major plus this movie, though. Not major, but like something I really did like. I liked the boat wreck scene a lot with the storm and the boat like falling and everything. I liked it a lot. I mean, I don't know
It
if
at least
you
was
all-
like the point at which it was kind of pulling back to making me think like, okay, are they actually... Because again, so much of this is just like, I want it to be kind of like the games.
Yeah.
And they had that moment where she's like looking up, it's like, oh, I can like,
And
you know,
she monkey bars across.
It's just like perfect. That like, I want that.
All
Give
of
me
that.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean that's about all you really get. Like,
Yeah.
What about when she fought that guy in the mud?
put the guy
I
in
feel-
the mud.
She
Oh,
fought
when
the guy in
she's
the
drowning
mud.
the guy.
And then
Yeah.
she's like, I can't believe I killed a guy. Wait, there's Dad over there.
Yeah, because that was like the one guy that was after her, or the
Yeah.
only guy that was on her tracks. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like we've sent one man to track her down.
Exactly.
It's like that.
This is
I don't
Lara
know. I mean,
Croft.
I guess you don't. Well, they don't know.
True.
Like,
They hadn't played the
it's-
games.
yeah. Well, so the first Tomb Raider is just called Tomb Raider. The second one is Rise of the Tomb Raider. So that's whenever she's becoming, you know, notorious, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I mean, and they could have just like let that moment sit for a little bit longer, at least, to like, because like it was a pretty brutal fight scene. Nothing we haven't seen before, but like
Yeah.
it did seem like it emotionally had a toll on her, and she's like, man, that kind of sucks. And then she just saw her dad, and then the story immediately skips forward. Welcome, Dylan, everybody.
Dylan's here, freshly burger and bowl from the looks of
Burger
the
and
bag
bowl,
that he
Burger
had.
King.
Burger King.
Burger
No,
King.
yeah, it was
He,
Burger
he
King.
is
Oh,
big king.
Yeah. No,
Oh.
I went to the royalty.
Oh God! I want to know what
Well,
realm.
Annabeth did quite the intro.
She
Oh.
did.
Like, she really knocked it
Oh,
out.
good for her. I'll watch back just for Animus' sake.
Yeah, and she
If
even,
Price did it, I would just say delete this.
she even announced
It was
herself
amazing.
as Dylan.
She
so,
did.
yeah.
Oh,
She
fantastic.
got her names right.
Well, that's unlike
Better
me.
watch out.
I wouldn't do that right.
So Dylan, what opinions do you have? We've talked a lot about this movie, but what
I don't feel like we talked a whole
Big
lot
perspective.
yet. We're
No, there's nothing to
kinda
talk
beating
about with this
around.
movie. This movie
Yeah.
sucks.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll spoil it right away.
Oh, man.
This movie is an incredible disappointment.
So ultimately, I do agree.
Yeah. So here, all right. So we're already on the scene that I feel like is the only scene that I felt had any sort of like stake to it, and that's whenever she's choking the guy out in the mud.
Yeah.
And that scene wherever she finally kills somebody for like the first time, and she gets over that very quickly. Once she gets the bow, because killing bows, I'm not
they're
killing
wounded.
them. I'm not killing them. The arrow is killing them.
Yeah.
Showing her political views very quickly. But when she had to kill somebody with her bare hands, I think by the time she was said that, she was like, it was the mud. Anyway.
It was Earth.
Like
Yeah.
he was just breathing in the mud.
Yeah.
I mean that's
I
not
was
my
just
fault.
also the amount of times
He
they-
could have not breathed.
Yeah.
He could have held his breath.
So the action is like very sloppy in this film. I feel like that they had one I feel like they actually didn't have an action guy. I think they had a stunt person, but they didn't have like an action, like a fight coordinator.
Yeah.
And 95% of the fights were, all right, so we're gonna practice the rear naked choke, and then that was it for
Oh my
like most of
God.
these things.
I hated the foreshadowing on that. I really didn't like that.
Yeah.
I
She got her
yeah.
ass kicked at the very beginning.
And then finally when McGoyle or whatever his name is,
Victoria Rule.
Well,
Yeah.
and right as he shows up, like it's so heavily weighted to like he's about to ambush her.
Mhm.
Like the way she's positioned herself, it's like, all right, I'm in frame. You
Yeah.
can get me now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard Price already going on about that fight or the run scenes with Tom Cruise, and yeah, this is a running movie. It's strange. For a movie that they're spending so much time trying to run their way through, they take their fat fucking time getting anywhere with the plot. So I counted on this movie, because this is a movie that this week is fucking nuts. 38 minutes to actually start getting into
Mason said the same
the
thing.
island, and then another hour and 28 minutes, well, sorry, not additionally, but at hour 28 of the 2-hour movie, does the Tomb Raider finally start tomb raiding.
Yeah, she raids that fucking tomb
Yeah.
after 40 minutes.
Yeah, like, of finally getting to the island, which already took a heavy amount of time, which I was just like...
And it was also one of those things that I feel like I can't point you to which movies have done this, but this kind of shit happens all the time where the bad guy's like, haha, I got you now.
Mhm.
You go in first. You're leading through this like
Yeah.
exploring of this cave thing.
Parts of the Caribbean.
Yeah,
right?
that does it. Like, there's a bunch of movies that do this.
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
like
thing,
you wanted
and
to
it's
get in
always
here.
just, I don't know. It's such an
Right.
easy way to be like, oh, it's gonna be tense because it's gonna be the bad
Ah,
guy
we're gonna be
with the
intimate
good guys,
together.
and they're having to work together even though they don't wanna.
Yeah.
Well, that's how National Treasure was. Like,
Yeah.
whenever he met up with his old accomplice or whatever that, like, turned on him early on. Speaking of, like, running in this movie, so during the credit scene, Kay Flay has a song, and it's literally called Run For Your Life.
Oh my god.
And it's,
K-Flay
it's not a bad
is-
song.
K-Play is one of my favorites.
It's just on
But
Yeah,
it
does not
explains the
surprise
running.
me.
Like it's almost just adding on to the pile of running.
Yeah.
Like running. There's a song called "Run for Your Life." Yeah.
I'll say here are some of the goods. It makes the Resident Evil movie look like a better video game movie in comparison.
That's not fair.
Man,
That's not fair.
That's rough.
It's rough
Because
there's
like,
one scene that's 1-for-1. Can you guess where immediately I was like, God, I wish I was watching Resident Evil instead. They're in the tomb.
okay.
Okay, that's where I'll
So
give you
is
the
it
crumbs.
the hallway with the laser stuff?
Uh-huh.
So that okay.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, that
that's
seems
like,
sick.
That's a really like that. Okay, so that's a good point to bring up. Like,
Mhm.
does this movie have any moments in it that are just like that was sick?
Yeah.
Like that was cool. You know, if we can just ignore everything else going on, cool moment in movie.
I thought the boat wreck scene was that.
That
I'll
was
give
maybe
that
as
movie
close
credit.
as we get to it, but it
I
was
think the
like,
airplane
it
scene
felt
was probably
really
the
dark
coolest
and
scene
sloppy
for me, but
Yeah.
The airplane
That
thing
felt
was
sloppy.
kind of neat. She has got to have like horrible tetanus. and,
Yeah,
you know,
like she's
like,
all
you're
she
not,
needs a shot.
You're
That
not grabbing raw
yeah.
metal like that and not getting like just.
and that
straight
raw metal
on
was
the head.
falling apart. So
Yeah.
you know how
Yeah.
structurally
I
sound
know.
that metal actually was, and how rusted it probably
So
was.
I'm trying to give this movie the benefit of the doubt, knowing that I've seen all of it done in better storytelling in the game, because they are trying to go for 1-for-1. But this is for me. This goes back to the Hollywood like rumor that's not a rumor and it's fairly confirmed that they make video game movies with scripts that aren't for the video game that are close enough to something. They make some tweaks and then they just slap the title on it. And this feels a lot like that. This feels like this was a scrapped Indiana Jones one. And they didn't want to give it the budget, And they're like, if we tweak a couple of these little things, we can make this a Tomb Raider one.
Why can't they just make why can't they follow the game and make a script that just follows the fucking game?
Because Hollywood is movies, and I don't know there's no Hollywood for games. Everything else is games. We're winning. Quit fucking with us. We make more money than you. Stop it. Your actors get paid better, though.
It's absolutely
No,
frustrating,
it's very
this whole
frustrating.
thing. Like, I feel like this movie gets a super low score for me just because of my frustration with it at this point.
I'm with you, because I think that this is not, more than anything, I think this is a not that hard to adapt movie. I think this is a movie that's more or less grounded in the realism of cinema.
I haven't seen Uncharted yet, but Uncharted is what I would call a long-form movie.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the games are very cinematic.
Yeah.
So I feel like that should have translated easy. Tomb Raider is also a pretty cinematic game as well, so I don't know. Like, I feel like this was such a huge miss.
I feel like Uncharted 2, I don't know about you guys, I heard about, like, the pre-production starting, like, 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, for a while.
It was a long-ass time. They had it basically written down, hey, we're making this, and then sometime later they finally got, like, one cast member right? And then it built from there. But, I don't know. But for all you guys are saying, too, like, we can get onto the fat and thin if you guys want.
I'm good.
Or the questions.
I just want to... I haven't been able to figure out where to throw this in, but
throw it at the dartboard.
This is just one little thing that was really weirdly out of place in this movie. There is a bearded dragon in the jungle. I don't know if y'all saw that, but there's like a kind of a zooming out shot.
Was it a nighttime
at one
shot?
point, and it was a nighttime
because mine was
zooming out
720 blurry clock, so I couldn't tell shit. Once it went dark, it was all blocky. You know?
Well, so it looks like my bearded dragon was just like sitting on a branch.
And that's not his native environment.
Yeah, no, not at all.
No.
Like, a bearded dragon is a desert-dwelling animal.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have been in a pouring down rain jungle.
Next to, like, Japan or something. I
can't
remember.
So stupid.
Whose irresponsible dragon owner left them out in the forest for this movie?
It wasn't Dorito. That's
it was not Dorito.
That was, that just like is exactly the kind of decision making that's just like, of course. Like, that doesn't surprise me with this.
Maybe they should have put a kangaroo there and see if anybody would have noticed.
I probably wouldn't. Still, it would have been all blocky. No, the last thing I want to like kind of note on it, because I'm sure you guys have already said plenty of it already, and this movie isn't worth me beating myself up over. But the fucking, she's fighting with Ronnie Randall or whatever his name is at the end of it.
The villain?
Yeah. The guy that ate the finger?
Yeah, which
somehow immediately affected him, even though it was in a bag.
Right.
Like, is your stomach acid able to melt plastic
maybe he has stomach acid like mine that just burns through everything. But, no, he's on the ladder. Vulnerable as all get out. She's got the
she's
pick.
like, I'm going to run.
And I'm going to run, chop it into the ground, do a weird flip off of the very unsturdy ladder.
Leave
myself vulnerable with my weapon. And I'm like, why didn't you just...
Why didn't you just flip, just do this to the ladder?
Yeah. Look at you. Even a simple tomahawk throw, even if he crouches, you just aim lower, he's going.
Any of us could have taken him in that moment.
Oh, yeah. I think we all take him at our current state at any point.
That ladder, too, it's like, why did everybody want to walk across that ladder?
I would have crawled. That's better center of gravity,
across
better
that
wind
ladder,
distribution.
no problem, but no, we got to walk.
She had no trouble, like, jumping it,
Yeah.
by the end of it. I mean, it needed to be a little bit...
She was jumping everywhere.
Well, to be fair, when you start climbing, your physique and your prowess are exceedingly better. And she...
I believe it.
And she was scaling at, like, a beginner level, like, probably like a V2 or V3 on that cliff. There was a lot of basic animals on that.
And I've done ice climbing, so I'm pretty familiar with ice climbing picks.
Please don't make this a climbing.
all you need is just a little bit of grab.
Yeah, a little bit of grab. Like, a little bit of grab.
Mason, move us on.
Very effective tools.
I think me and you make it over
Mason,
that ladder.
please.
That cliff had some holds that I feel comfortable with. I'll put it that way. So
Mason, you got any new disc golfs lately?
his
So
costs.
anyway, let's go into Fat Finn Perfectly Fit, where we talk about how this movie's fat. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've already said my disgruntled parts. It's that first 30 minutes. It could have been absolutely
38
shaved
minutes.
down. Okay.
You can cut it to 30.
Give me that she's struggling financially, and give me the fact that she's got an inheritance waiting on her. Give me her little stepmother, I'm assuming, little scene, and then that's good. Let her discover that junk, start looking into tombs. The very end, I didn't hate. The very, very end.
The sequel setup? Oh, okay.
The Croft Mansion, right? The Croft Manor.
Yeah.
That scene was perfectly fine. Let the credits roll while that's playing, or do a small credit roll. Do that afterwards, because it doesn't need it. It can have it for sequel purposes for people that want to stick around. Croft Manor's awesome. That's one of the coolest parts about the original Tomb Raider game.
Mhm.
You got to discover it, you got to explore it.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything in the middle of this movie was fine by me. For a video game movie, it was A-okay. It wasn't great, it wasn't perfect by any means, but it was okay. It was just that first 30, like the last 5 were a little out of whack, but...
Nah, cut more.
Okay.
I honestly, I would be fine with them starting on the island and retroactively showing little tiny flashbacks
of her memory
to
coming
get
back.
right of like she washes up on the shore.
Oh yeah, it could have opened, washed up on the shore.
100%. We could have
flashing back to.
We could have inceptioned this so hard, it washes right up on
It
the
didn't
shore.
even have to
I
be
like
that
that
bad,
movie so much better already.
Yeah. Oh, I've already got this rope because I watched the video game and I'm like, well, how do you turn this into really an hour 20 movie? Because they're never gonna give us an hour 30, but they gave this one too.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that's supposed to work. You cut out all of the sequel bullshit. You just let this breathe. If you want to have another sequel, make another movie that stands on its own without having to rely on like this flimsy little toothpick plot. Because the more they put in the sequel bait, the more that this movie was getting fatter by the second, and it was already quite fat. We go into the island, boom, we're already fucking the action. We sit there, we flash back, we do a fight scene. In the middle of the fight scene, she remembers, oh, well, when I'm stuck in an arm or in a chokehold, I just do this, and then she fucking hip pops the guy, bing bang boom. You just keep going flashing back.
And curb
Right?
stomp.
Yeah, because we're already in a video game movie. We're already suspending our belief that Laura can do whatever she wants.
Yeah, she's
That this is the
basically-
most physically capable person in this movie, hands down. Yeah. Oh my god, there's so much to cut. Get to the fucking tombs and flush. You know what? Make a whole. Actually, scrap everything. Just start in the tomb. I don't care how we get there. Start in the tomb. Start tomb raiding from minute
Nah,
one.
you need the crashing on the bay and the rocks and all that, and
Okay, a little bit of beach, fine.
and a little bit
fine,
of
I'll give it to you.
Yeah, the slave.
Nah, I give it to you at the
crazy-
end. I give it to you at the end. They get out and then she frees the slaves, and it's like more
a Mesa situation.
yeah.
From Marine.
Right. Actually, if there's the one big change I actually make with the villain, and this is my last like edit in the Fat Thin category, is that you play the like almost sympathetic villain, but he's been losing his shit for being here for so long, and so that
I
he's
like that much.
he's
better.
actually
We talked
working
about
with
that
her.
already.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the villain could have been good.
Yeah, he could have.
So
They,
easy.
they,
But
just, they didn't give him.
He seemed like he's like I'm grumpy. He seems like when you see a burnt out manager at Walmart.
Yeah.
That's him.
Yeah.
I've been running this island routine for 7 years.
He's working swing shift.
He is. He's like, this is 2 a.m.
Hasn't seen his wife in 3 days.
Yeah.
like
She
he's
doesn't
fed
call.
up. Yes.
All I get is your mom or something. She's very short on discussions. Anyway.
I actually agree with all the first half of what Dylan said. Before he did the tomb thing,
Nah,
I
start
was on
tombing.
board with that. But like the part where like you're cutting all the sequel stuff out, don't do that. It needs to stand on its own. Cut out that whole like first 30 minutes. I'm on board with all that. So I agree with pretty much everything he said. And also to note as well, The Descent would be a better Tomb Raider movie than this movie.
I will say, for no reason, I think you flash back to the paint run scene now. For
God.
no reason, the one where
to
she's
show
in the
her
paint fighting.
agility.
Oh.
The paint, not even that. I think you randomly put that cut in the middle of the movie, just to
So
fuck with
why
the
is that
audience.
there?
Yeah,
I don't need to see
for
her
the
on
furry
a
fans.
bicycle.
Just for the
Yeah.
furry fans.
I feel like that scene exists purely to just be like, it's Britain, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't, hey mate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like that's it.
And to
That's
show a
all.
cop
Like they
car
just
in
wanted to
London.
be like, hey, this is a movie where she's from Britain.
Yeah.
They
Right?
gave
Yeah.
Alicia Vikander a furry tail for a little while, so you got to appeal to that demographic as well. Smart move, gamers.
Yeah, I do think it would be much better if it opened on the island and had more going on with the island. She makes a lot of really stupid quick decisions on that island because she doesn't have time because the movie only is so long and she already spent 38 minutes being an obstinate child.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She agrees with the bad guy to destroy the world so she can save her dad.
Yeah.
If y'all remember that
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know, that little, like, boat friend, that captain guy, like, I can't remember what he did, like, outlandishly, but he, like, attacked one of the guards and, like, got him
Yeah,
disarmed
he made
and
him-
screamed at Laura Croft, do something! And she's like,
No!
what the fuck do you want
Why
me to
are we
do?
doing this?
7 guns around us. What do you... And then she just
Well,
books it.
And then the next day she's back in the camp with
Yeah.
just a bow and arrow, just like
Sneaking.
slip
Yeah.
around.
But
Which is video game.
It's just
Oh,
video game.
that's very video
that's-
game.
I will
odd.
say that is,
Yeah.
but man, it like her character doesn't feel like
Nah,
she should
she
be
ain't
doing
ready.
that.
Nah,
like
she ain't
she's
ready.
not,
Yeah.
she's not level. She hasn't like
She
upgraded her
hasn't,
gear or
no.
anything.
Which is what the game does.
Oh
Right.
yeah, it's all about upgrading the gear.
You're supposed to shoot some deer.
Yeah,
and, like, shoot
yeah,
some
you gotta
rabbits
get the
in the game.
pelts and gather them up.
You forgot to mention whenever she's escaping from the slave camp when the guy does that like all of the guards turn into stormtroopers and just like shooting at the sky.
Except
and, like,
for the villain, who is like Carl Grimes with a
Bullseye.
pistol, headshot freaking Mr. Grimes.
Yeah.
Unreal. That was my only other note that I had, was that guy was better with the pistol than they were with automatic weapons.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, they were randomly popping off their guns just for the fun of it.
True.
I don't know
Yeah.
if you remember.
7
like,
years
there were
on
a
an
couple of
island.
times where it's just like, oh shoot,
Yeah.
why are they shooting? It's
Or they
like,
said,
oh,
like,
no,
we're-
they're just shooting the air.
We're rounding up
Yeah.
camp, everybody. Woo!
Yeah, exactly. That moment is just like, why? Why are you shooting your gun, man?
I had a Snowpiercer moment where I'm like, do they even have bullets anymore? They've been on this
Yeah.
island for 7 years. At what
Yeah.
point
It's
do they just...
implied that they have
Right.
it, not necessarily
Did
confirmed.
they actually bring no food and brought a bunch of Asians and bullets? And is that all the cargo was? Like, that's my
Well, so I
suspicion.
think all of the slaves
Mhm.
there were people that had shipwrecked on the island.
Sure.
Yeah.
So they were all.
'Cause I don't
people
get the
that were
impression
Part
that there
of
was
it
any
there.
indigenous
part of the
there,
labor, like, trade or something that kind of just landed there.
Also, having an indigenous third like territory party would have been really fun in this movie, but
Like
Yes.
a
Well, I mean, so
like a Russia
in-
fighting for the
in
same.
I don't know if you remember. There's like Oni.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
like those guys. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. I would have
Yeah.
rather had something like that. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing that you weren't here for. Where I was saying, I think this movie does a huge disservice to the franchise in general by like trying to be grounded and realistic and be like, oh, it's just a crazy disease and stuff. It's like they should have actually embraced the mysticalness of the Tomb Raider stuff because, like, even from the first game, they were freaking dinosaurs.
Mhm.
Like, it's not grounded and it
Well,
never
that was the bearded dragon nod.
Yeah.
They're like, you want
You got what
dragon
you wanted.
dinosaurs? Huh?
You got more than what you wanted.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
got
I
your
guess
own
that was
pet.
the mystical, because somehow a bearded dragon surviving in a jungle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see
How
any
did I
black
even
labs
get here?
running around.
No.
I didn't get what I
No.
wanted.
No.
Did you get a golden retriever in yours?
No.
No, but Nathan got his.
Nathan got his dinosaurs. I didn't even get Laura topless or the guy didn't even hang dong for no reason. If he could just be pantsless while he's on the ladder, ideally that puts me over. At that point, I'm
She
like,
pantses him?
Yeah. And she leaps out of him, pants go down, hangs full frontal dong for way too long.
And
It falls through the ladder. You know?
God.
All right, never mind.
Okay.
We're making the movie better every
All right,
minute. But
I've got a question.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What's the best video game adaptation? And also, consequently, you can also do the worst.
best video game adaptation to date is still Detective Pikachu.
Hell no.
Hell,
Is that-
yes.
Castlevania.
But Detective
No, you're-
Pikachu is not based
It's
on
not
a
based
on
on
an
a
actual
game, but it's based on a property.
They-
But there's a game about
They,
Detective
yeah, I was
Pikachu.
gonna say
That's
like
loose, but IP.
Chicken. Or
yeah, it's
chicken or
well,
the egg.
no, it is.
It's
but
not taking
but
the plot.
We know the order
Right.
because
Oh,
yeah,
it
yeah.
came out after the movie,
So this is the
or
egg.
alongside it or something.
No,
yeah.
there was a brief before Detective Pikachu because the character of Detective Pikachu existed in the spin-off games, and then you
Yeah.
only got a video game after right around the period of the movie, if I recall correctly. But you can fact check me on that one. Either way,
You
Detective
know what I'm gonna
Pikachu.
go with?
What's that?
Monster Hunter.
I actually never got
That's
into watching
worst,
that.
right?
I've never played the game or watched the movie, so I'm going with Monster Hunter.
Okay.
God.
Wait, how can you pick that if you haven't done either of it?
It's
It's
very
a
limited.
terrible movie.
I never played Silent Hill.
It uses
but
the
I watched the
Oh,
movie.
scratch that.
It uses the monsters, but that's it.
It should be Silent Hill.
I knew there was something in my head.
Yeah.
Silent Hill.
I was
Silent
too
Hill.
scared
It's the
to
horror
play
Like,
that
yeah,
game.
Silent Hill does
Silent
the
Hill's
best
good.
out of
Silent
any
Hill's great.
video game movie.
I
I'll
stand
say-
behind Castlevania.
Well, okay, no.
So to be fair, I've not watched that.
It's so good.
I-
You would like
Is it a movie or is it
It's
a
a
show.
Netflix
Oh,
show,
so
which is why it
that-
doesn't.
that-
I'm not
you,
even counting
you would
it.
love it.
But I don't.
I'm not counting because we're talking
In
about
this
movies. We're a movie
particular question.
podcast. Talk about it on
Oh.
your TV show.
I said adaptation. I didn't
You
say
did, you
movie.
did. Is
adaptation.
it adaptation or is it adaptation?
I will never say that A word ever again.
God damn it.
God, that movie.
All right,
Uh,
go. You can go to scores then.
Anyway,
Sorry.
so Detective Pikachu probably gets a good. No, go ahead, Mason.
It's Castlevania.
No, it's not.
If I'm
Probably
gonna
so.
score this movie, I'm not gonna lie. I think I enjoyed it
Don't
more
you
than
lie.
any of them.
wouldn't
I
He's not
I
bad.
got what I wanted out of this movie. This movie just didn't have enough of what I wanted.
Didn't.
I got-
Which is Alicia
Those are the
Vikander.
Yeah.
Listen,
the camera.
This movie could have
Listen.
done more with Alicia Vikander.
Yeah.
I think
I love when she does that little squeal, like when she's like really getting into something. She goes like, ah! I can't even do it.
I can't even.
It's
I don't
very
even remember
noticeable.
that.
What you're talking about. It must have been lost in the 720p.
Yeah.
It's audio.
I know.
I think I'm gonna land at still a 6.5. I still enjoyed it. It's not. This movie is exactly what you would expect out of a movie like this. You can watch National Treasure. You can watch any of those movies I listed before, and they will be better. They'll have better plots, probably a better cast all around. But yeah, I mean, kudos to like the logo. The biggest part of this movie I thought was the logo at the end with like the shattering with the arrow, the sheet going through it. Oh, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know. Little nods to this movie. Nothing super impressive. I will say that it's better than Lara Croft Tomb Raider 1 and 2 of the Cradle. What's it called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god, Cradle of Death.
Cradle of something.
It's not- I don't know.
Cradle of Life, actually. It's
Yeah.
Cradle of Life.
No, yeah, it was good. I was in the ball.
But yeah, it's better than those two. So
yeah. Well,
it's something. Of
Is
course,
it?
those movies were 15 or 20 years.
Doesn't Angelina Jolie's dad play her dad
yes.
in the Tomb Raider movies?
That
Yeah,
sounds
that was-
right.
I don't even
I feel
remember
like
her
that's some
dad.
trivia.
Uh-huh.
I'll look real quick.
I know she has that
Case.
partner in the second one with the squirrel suits.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
They like
What's
That,
Uh,
that
Earl
movie
Simmons.
really wanted to be.
That movie was sick, dude.
it-
Like in 2002.
Oh,
that movie was
yeah.
fucking
It's- I mean, like,
awesome.
in 2002.
I remember at the time thinking like, that's pretty
Jordan
cool.
Moore.
Yeah, and I remember at the end, she like
I like
pulls
that.
out like 2 pistols
Yeah.
and like the credits roll. Like it's just black.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, and you know, speaking of setup stuff with this one,
Yeah.
they have that moment where she's getting
Gets the
those
pistol.
It's a
guns.
nod, dude.
Just
Her
like,
hair's
it's an homage.
her hair's all like that. Yeah.
I just like, I can never get excited about where this could go. if
Would
there
you
were
watch
se-
the next one?
Yeah, I mean,
If
I'll
it was
watch
same
the
cat,
next,
you know, same.
Like, I will watch the next one, just because I do enjoy
You invested,
the
yeah.
series,
Yeah.
and maybe they can recover. I whenever we get to the like scores, you know, in
Critics.
large, we'll
We'll look at them.
we'll see because
Cool.
I
Can you show me
I
on the
don't
full
think
monitor?
I don't know is there gonna be
I doubt it.
I don't
It's
think there will
been
be.
4 years now, going on 5 years. So
Yeah, we're going into the 5th year now.
Dylan score.
This movie's probably just a 5.5. So here's where I'll give it just the tip of a nod over being fucking bad. Is that it's not like, do I find myself offended and I find myself like grueling through this movie? The 38 minutes up front, yeah, because I know what I'm signing up for about this movie. Is that part particularly bad or more well shot or poor acted? No, it's just dragging its fucking feet and it annoys me through the roof. By the time we get into the movie and stuff like that, it just does the skeleton and it never gets to the meat and potatoes of what the movie I signed up for is, which is the game. But that being said, I know it's the game, and I'm frustrated with the entire back and forth. Yeah, hairy feet. All right, Frodo, put your feet away.
No, I got a hole in my sock.
Oh,
You
okay.
blew it out in the middle of the sock. It's not even on the ball.
I
of
know,
your
it's on,
foot.
how do you even do... Anyway.
I don't know.
He's just
Yeah, I know. I want to say my part. So, whatever. Alicia Vikander is... I actually don't mind her as Laura.
I think she's fine.
Laura...
yeah, like that's the thing. It's
Right.
like there's so much about this that could have been right.
Right, and this
And
is...
she was a good choice.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is why I don't dump it much lower than that, is because I think that they're... I mean, again, it had the makings of it being good. It just didn't execute in any really solid point. This needed more mysticism. This needed less everything that it decided it wanted way too much of. Needed more Tomb raiding. If I watch Penetration 9 and if they aren't penetrating until 45 or an hour and a half into this movie, I'm gonna ask, did I get the wrong rental? All right, so that's a big problem for me as far as that stuff goes. Would I watch the sequel? No. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
5.5.
You would.
I would not. At this point, nah. If I want to see Alicia Vikander and how I
What
want
if
to see
I told you she hangs down?
then I would just watch Ex Machina, which is a good movie where she does,
Or the Danish girl, or
Yeah, Alicia Vikander's not afraid to, so I don't know why they didn't let her.
Well,
Also, what was the director's name? Roar something?
that gains points for me.
Yeah,
Roar?
literally, like, look it up for me.
Oh yeah, Roar Uthog.
Yeah! What?
Uthog.
Roar Uthog! What kind of fucking director name is that? That gives it a
it's
0.5.
spelled like roar.
It is, no, it's
Yeah.
spelled like, that's phonetically how it is. It is Roar Uthog or something like that. The paladin from...
All right, I'm
Yeah.
I'm knocking my score out. It's an average movie that is actually below average. It's a good video
Making
game
sense.
movie, but that still doesn't mean much in the grand scheme of things. The characters are all terrible, which is one of the main reasons I like movies, is good characters and good dialogue, and it does not have that by any means. The action is very repetitive. It gets very boring. Like I said, the boat wreck scene, I don't think it's getting enough love here. I thought it was really good. It was a shining star in the midst of a pile of mediocre poopy. So this movie is a 4. It's too long. It's not very good, but
Yeah.
I also didn't hate my time with it. Like, I wouldn't watch it again, but it's not, like, terrible.
Well, I'm gonna be the lowest score here.
Yeah!
Damn.
And the
Give it a 0. Be a price.
The main reason for that is just because I'm like, I have a bone to pick with the people that wrote the script
With
for this
Roar?
movie.
Roar the gang?
Roar,
Like,
dog.
I've played them all.
Yeah.
They're great.
Right.
I guess I need to go back and watch the old ones because I would almost bet those are more enjoyable in a way than this one was. This one had so much
As long
potential.
as you remember that they
and
came out in 2002.
Yeah.
Like,
That
yeah.
CG is a little rougher around that
Yeah.
time.
Well, and like they had all the right stuff. They had made the right casting choices. They, again, they do somewhat follow the first game of the reboot, which that would have been good if they had actually followed it instead of duping you towards the end and be like, oh no, instead we're going to make it super realistic and it's just like everybody thought it was crazy, but actually it's just some virus or whatever. They wasted what could have been the beginning of an actual series of good films accurately based on good games. So I'm gonna give it a 3.5. I kind of would want to even give it lower than that, just out of frustration.
Just
do
getting
it,
madder by
man.
the second.
Just
But-
do it. Talk yourself into it.
Go to 0, let the hate flow through.
Like,
Don't do it, Nathan.
It's not objectively a bad movie.
No.
It's just, it sucks to see. It always sucks to see something that's just like, oh, I really like this. Let's see how they ruin it,
Right.
and then they actually ruin it.
Yeah, wasted potential, right? Because this movie movie done right could easily be 8+.
Grab it.
We gotta do Rotten Tomatoes real quick.
Yeah.
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 So, the IMDb
Oh,
Hey, that's my
Yeah.
that's my boy.
that they give it a 6.3 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
oh well.
The Rotten Tomatoes, they give it a 53%.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's
I don't
not
know if
broken
that's. So that is the tomato meter, and then the audience gives it just a 55%. So everybody was pretty well on the same page about the quality of this film, which is to say that it was really middle of the road and did nothing in any way to actually stand out or be interesting in a genre that is quite full of a lot of really well done tomb raiding style movies.
Yeah, that's fair.
Agreed.
So, yeah.
All right.
Spin this fucking wheel.
Do it to him.
Gotcha.
Get it, Dylan.
That's a good. Sound like a car.
Yeah. Sounds like
Tell me
my
it's
car.
okay, Ward.
Oh yeah!
Yeah,
Love that movie. Love that movie.
So
Just did that one.
I know, I literally just put it on the wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the green slices point at everything, everywhere, all at once. The Asian Doctor Strange movie. Make sure to tune in next week for Doctor Strange 2. Sorry, Multiverse is where that one comes from.
Ooh, I'm excited.
It's a mindful. It's a mouthful. It's the whole package. EEAAO. Make sure to attend that. Whoa! Next week. If you like the content we keep doing, make sure to give us a thumbs up to let us know we watch movies fucking really late at night and get really disappointed that we stayed up until 1 a.m. watching this trash movie, wanting to show up, and your people are already recording and talking about how bad it is. So give us the fucking like, alright? We worked hard for it. Let us know in the comments below if you think I'm too aggressive. Fuck you. And make sure to hit the bell. Nathan, do it or I'm gonna hurt him.
Yeah,
There you go. Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyway, we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye. Well, that just erased about 3 slices.
Yep.
Yep. All
Well,
right.
I mean, Tomb Raider was the same way.
Yeah, that's true.
And I finally just watched it last week.
Tomb Raider knocked
Everything?
off.